Hostage, a Todd Mills mystery, book 3 in the series. Author R.D. Zimmerman, publisher Scribble Pub. Narrator Eric Aust. Chapter 8. One of the first things Todd learned in the biz was that if you didn't know how to dress, you didn't belong on television. Aside from Stella, his agent, who'd advised him to always dress conservatively. "Okay, doll, so shoot me a little dash of Ralph Lauren. Won't kill anyone." No one in television had ever told him what to wear. He knew, though, that if the clothes were wrong, he'd lose viewers and eventually his job, and while he was sure that the dark blue suit looked good, he was hit with a rare twinge of insecurity. "So just tell me, do I look okay?" he asked Bradley, the photographer, as they cut immediately left at the restaurant's entrance and entered the room where the interview would take place. "Hey, man, you look great. Don't sweat it." The tall black man looked him up and down. "My wife says I have impeccable taste, and you look impeccable." "Thanks." Todd put down his briefcase and surveyed the room, a small space off the main dining area at Jerome's, used primarily as a private dining room for corporate lunch meetings, or from time to time as a refuge for fan-beset rock stars. It had a high ceiling with an elaborate wrought iron chandelier, terracotta-collared walls, and a beige carpet. There were 3 or 4 tables pushed to one side, a dozen chairs, no windows, and heavy draping tan curtains lining one wall. Checking it all over, Todd thought that the curtains might prove a good backdrop. "What do you think? We set up a couple of chairs over here by the curtains?" asked Todd. "There were a couple of plants out by the entrance. Maybe we could put those in the background?" "Sure. And the camera right about here?" he continued, stepping more into the middle of the room. Usually, Todd liked to get to a place only about 10 minutes early, for it really didn't take more than a good 7 minutes to set up. But today he'd given them extra time. Not only did he not want to be rushed, and he did want to make sure things were set up perfectly, Todd wondered if there wouldn't be a way to listen in on the luncheon, at least the end of it, or perhaps Bradley could dash into the hall and tape the guests as they filtered out. Thinking of that, Todd wondered if he should try to corner a couple of them and get a few words that could serve as the background to the start of the interview. Or was it better to leave all that alone and just set up and stay in here, focused on what was really important? Bradley unzipped the large equipment bag and started pulling out endless cords, a tripod, a handful of pro beta tapes, and finally a professional beta camera. The very latest, loaded with computerized gadgetry. Then he started digging for something, opening and closing various pockets of the bag. "Don't tell me you forgot one of the batteries," said Todd. Everything had a battery, from the camera to the lights to the cords, and more than once Todd had had his story ruined by equipment failure. All you had to do was forget one little battery. That went in the mic cords, and that was it. Interview shot. "Found it." Bradley smiled, lifting out a pack of gum. "Just be cool, Todd. I checked all the batteries. Brought backups for them all." "Oh, brother." Thought Todd he had to get a grip and be calm. No, he had to be confident and arrogant. "Oh, shit. You're going to mess this one up royally," he told himself, "if you don't relax." But what was it? Why was he so worried? Suddenly he knew, although he was sure Johnny Clareton wanted to talk about anything but gays and AIDS, Todd was going to do his damnedest to make sure those issues were addressed. Yet Todd realized he himself had never talked about these things on air. Always another bridge to cross, wasn't there? "Bradley," said Todd, "I want to make sure this interview doesn't look impromptu, so let's make sure Clareton is lit really well." "Backlit?" "Yeah. Why don't you set up the light umbrella and let's double mic this one, okay?" "Wireless or lav?" "Lav." Right, he thought. He'd bring Clareton in, seat him, and then clip a lav mic to each of their lapels. Todd wanted the interview double mic like that to make sure Todd's questions were well heard. A lot of times the questions were more important than the answers. Too often you could simply ignore a person's answer because that could just be bullshit, a politician's answer in particular. What you wanted to get was the look, the reaction to a question, which more often than not provided a glimpse at what the person really thought. Bradley opened up the light kit, and then the two of them made careful business of getting everything set up. When the lights were adjusted, the camera positioned. Todd took a deep breath. Yes, he could do it. Several minutes later, Todd heard a prolonged roll of applause from behind the curtained wall. Time for the main event. Bradley, said Todd, clipped on his mic and sitting down. Let's do a quick test. What? I want to see some footage just to make sure. Todd, said Bradley, clearly exasperated. Everything's perfect. Come on, just do it. Rolling his eyes, Bradley turned on the camera, checked the focus, and let it roll. A Gay Mysteries audiobooks. I think it is easy to hate a label, but a face humanizes the word. So this effort is twofold. To offer comfort to those like myself that your world didn't end because you don't fit into the view of acceptable society on both sides. And in hopes of helping those with family that are LGBTQ, that it doesn't mean we are aliens from the child they once knew. Reassure them so they can maybe be supportive at the same time, being true to their values.